Disclaimer: the information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GAN's processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
A new cycle of teaching has started, and this cycle is for the soul of the man. This cycle of teaching is to take man to show him how to drive, how to stop, how to enjoy the sun of the Creator and get warmed by his rays. And from now on, the teaching mainly will target for man to be ready to travel in the dimension of the soul of the man. Book 3. The final destination in the temporary road of the travel of the soul of the man. But you got to remember that within your RNA sits the whole history of the creation of the universe. What is connected to the dimension of physicality manifests itself in the DNA of the man. Universe has its own RNA, and universe creates its own DNA for manifestation of physicality. And you only see part of it which has initial strength of the physicality of this planet. If you understood the past 3 sentences, you understood the essence of the creation of the Creator. Now you understand what we teach and why we are here to teach. Because now we change those reactors, dynamic reactors, nano-coating, the ganses, in fact, to you and yourself, and nothing else. The ganses are the body of the man, and the dimension of the rotation and the speed of the rotation is the soul of the man within it. In one of the tests in the recent past, I explained to one of our knowledge seekers, you want to see the truth, you want to see the fields, do not pile in the ganses. Because it brings the dimension of absorption of physicality. This is why when you as knowledge seekers use the GANS water, you get a better results than the ganses. In 1 drop carries the whole of the essence, not the whole cup. You want to travel the dimension of the universe, understand the creation of the amino acid of the universe. You want to live and correct in the dimension of the man's physical dimension, stick to the amino acid of your ganses. You want to live in the dimension of the matter state, watch the amino acid, find the amino acid of the solid, the heartbeat of it, the essence of creation of it. Then you can become the stone. Then you can become a tree, then you can live the life of the man, and then you can live as the energy fields in the universe. What line of connection to the dimension of inertia of the existence can you find and understand and create within your souls to become that point of creation? Then a man can be a stone, a tree, a man, and a passenger of the universe within the same vessel. When you're burned, you become nothing but ashes. The dust that if you bring the soul of it together, you'll make a stone. We celebrate for man understanding of the life in the universe. We celebrate for man to live a correct life in the universe. As the intro said, we clean up the false emotions which created in the RNA by the operation of the DNA. Not depending on anything, as you know, you receive what you need. Thou shalt not kill was no way brought up to be for the dimension of the man's understanding of his dimension of physicality. It was brought in for a dimension of universe. Once you understand in the universe, you receive what you like, what you need, and you shall not kill for it. You bring that ethos to the dimension of physicality. So you have to touch the love of the creation, the love of living in the universe to correct the physicality. One way or another, we'll bring that to this planet. Be of the teachers to show how to conduct outside. As I've said many times, we are universal teachers because we teach you the life in the universe, the educated way to live in the universe. And now you understand why we are called universal teachers. We are not prophets. We are above all directly connected to the soul of the Creator as He teaches through the dimension of physicality of a man. Now you understand what the first words we always said. As now you're getting prepared for yourself, to the day of judgment of yourself, to become the passengers of universe, you need us as universal teachers to guide you, to teach you. And now you understand the meaning of universal teachers. Never claim to become, never claim to be a prophet, because He has no prophet for us. We have access to all. And now it's for you, as us, as a teacher, sitting next to you in that car with the learner driver behind you, how to conduct. And the first 3 rules: you sit in the car, you fasten your seatbelt, you watch the mirror, you turn the engine on, and you watch what's going around you. the ethos of Mitra, to be correct within you, within your environment. Think good, talk good, and do good, or act good. And now you understand who we are and what we are and what we are to deliver. Even though we live in the dimension of physicality of the man. It's for you to decide how you drive this car, which is the soul of the man in the dimension of the universe.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 514th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, November 30th, 2023. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation, Spaceship Institute, Education Department, and part of the Public Teachings in English. My name's Rick Kremen, and I'll be host once again in this endless series of workshops. And once again, we are greeted and have the pleasure of having the presence of Mr. Mehran Keshe of the Keshe Foundation. And thank you very much, Mr. Keshe, for being here for all these hundreds of workshops and carrying on with the teachings of the plasma technology. So please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Good morning, good day to you, as usual. Wherever and whenever you listen to this series of knowledge seekers from Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. We welcome you back, and we hope, as Rick said, we'll have many endless teachings to teach, to learn, and go forward. As you all know, life has a limited span in the physical dimension. On my passing, the daughter of Mitra will take over. And she will teach you and take you across. And I'm sure the soul of Rick will be there, will still serve in different dimensions and directions. So it will be an endless, because every time there has been a new time, new problems, new understanding, new solutions needed. And the daughter of Mitra is fully aware and taught and blessed with it. In time to come, man will learn that the passengers of the universe have no limit. No limitation in speed, no limitation in thoughts, no limitation in generosity. And this will come to be part of the structure of life for all of us. Does not matter, we take dimension of physicality or we don't. We go to the position to understand how it works and the way it is. As I said, we're taking a new turn in guiding, in taking you into new dimensions regarding the soul of the man. But you have to remember, we're still dealing with the physicality of man. The expectation to see one and then to go to the next to believe in one and then go to the next is still part of the work of the Keshe Foundation. We still work in the dimension of physicalities. We still negotiate with governments. We still do research. We still, now Keshe Foundation independently will launch spaceship programs of its own, independent of the nations. And so you will start seeing a lot of physical dimensions work, plus the work of the soul at the same time from the foundation. As many of you attended the meeting in London, you saw for the first time in public, as I said before, the weight loss, how we produce reduction in weight and then lift and motion. In the following weeks to come, we will bring you sometimes live on the floors of the Keshe Foundation research centers, be it in China, be it somewhere else, for you to see live how systems reduce weight, how system will take shape in lift and motion. That gives you understanding more, that gives you more confidence that the technology is not just one-sided, because you have to learn this. When we take you to the moon, we take you with the speed of the light, with the speed of soul, with the craft as you like it. But then you have to get out of the plane. You have to get out of the spaceship and walk on the floors, on the ground of the moon. We can give you a dome protection of the earth condition that you still feel good, you're not in a monkey suit. But as I said before, when you want to cross that field to go and see actually how life is on the other side of the dome, you have to travel with what we call the structure of the soul. Then you see how the two teachings come together. It's in a way book one. Now we are going through book two to get you there. And book three, when you arrive there, how you manifest yourself in dimension of physicality. The biggest scare for you will be to see yourself in that dimension. And if somebody puts a mirror in front of you, and if you have the eyes to see on the moon, outside the dome, would you recognize yourself? Would you understand the soul is mine, the physicality is the condition of the environment? So in the coming weeks, as we teach you more and more about dimension of the space travel through dimension of the soul of the man, which has been the pattern, we start giving you that confirmation of both physical transportation, which then can become transmutation when you feel like it, when you want to. In a way, we get many people on cruises. We get many people on aircrafts, but very few jump in the ocean, and very few take a parachute and jump off the plane. Then this comes to all of us. We are showing you the same. In a coming time, as you see, as we showed in the London conference, the reduction in weight. Now we show you the physical development time to time, while we push forward with the teaching of the Keshe Foundation, with the way you get out of this town, what language you speak on the moon, what food you can eat, and the rest of it. It's very easy. As I was explaining to one of the knowledge seekers very recently, when we were in London. England is a very typical country with Chinese restaurants. But in every menu in Chinese restaurants, there is fish and chips or chicken and chips. Because some of those who go to the restaurant don't like to eat Chinese. They never experience it. And the fear of experiencing new dimension, they stick to, can I have my fish and chips? And this is how it will be with some of you. You will go to space, but you'll have that fear of going to the dimension of actually what it means to live in a space, going through the transmutation. Just because you have not gained the strength to go through the transmutation, to feel the dimension of the soul of the man, does not mean you cannot be the passenger of space, even though your soul is aware that any time you decide to let the soul of physicality to interact with the soul of the man, you can become that passenger of the universe through your soul of physicality in connection to your soul. So you take over. You go to the land of what you call the dreamland in the time of the man on earth, but the reality in space, in the interaction with the dimensions. In a very recent communication with world leaders in military and the rest, discussion came on the table very simple. And that was, Mr. Keshe, we are not interested in that part yet. Let us get our people to understand this side before we jump to the other side. But the strangest thing is that this side will come much faster than the other side because the teaching is in depth. Now the units are out. Now we use the wellness centers to teach you, to bring you, part of all of you who go through the process of the wellness center. You go through process of understanding, gradually become those who will travel through the soul, because it's part of the system will set up to be interaction with the solar system, where your soul systems will allow you to carry on to the next step. What we'll see, as I said, will take you with a plane or with a UFO, whatever you call it, to the moon, and then you have to jump and do that. The new systems which has come into operation, and now the units are with those who are the licensees of the Keshe Foundation, will take you through that position of the two-way travel simultaneously. Those of you who go through the wellness systems from now on, using the systems which is with the licensees, you have the two options. Now you already started a process where you can go through the soul, and at the same time, you can work in the dimension of physicality. We will see massive changes in the process of what is to come. Keshe Foundation Wellness Centers will announce, or this week, or maybe soon, that they will handle specific cases directly, that they can bring that change into the soul that manifests itself in physicality. Conditions which now it's a dream. Many of us suffer with. There is no solution. Give me a pump, give me an injection, give me something else, but there has been no ever-ending solution, because the world of the science of today have not understood most of our physical conditions has a psychological, or what we call the soul interaction. We have covered our soul, work of our soul with our physicality on the banner of psychosomatic, psychological. In a way, is a solical. It's to do with the soul. It's got nothing to do with psycho, because psychologically, the emotion of the physicality comes out of the interaction of the fields of the soul of the man with the soul of physicality. Then we understand how we can maneuver, we can use this. And in the process of in the next few weeks, you will see the beginning of the process of the transfer and transmutation will come together. And the new systems, which are now out with the licenses of the Keshe Foundation, with the licenses of using the systems for a dual system, has already started. It's not that it's going to be, it's already here. The name, the email of the licensees will be released in the coming few days, where you can go to them and then be benefited from both dimensions. Then you understand how the system has changed, how a new dimension is added. This is, you work in the dimension of the soul, you work in the dimension of the soul of physicality, you work in the dimension of physicality of the man, and then these are all trial grounds, these are all test grounds for the step to come when we introduce the what you call the UFOs, which are now coming out in conjunction with the Chinese military and Chinese government, into the next. We heard in the past few days, Chinese have launched a system that will travel with the speed of light, and they hope this to be launched by 2025. I wrote to those, the military, and I said, what's next? First of all, have you understood? You just can send the system with the speed of light. You cannot send the man with the speed of light. We see when a man goes through a few G's, what happened. You will see, and we have seen, how shrinking and shaking and everything else of the body, man. Just 1 second, please. In that process, in that dimension, in that process of changing, what are the people gonna do? We do not even know that even if you travel with the speed of light, what will happen to you on the other end? The speed of G, sound barrier, has brought fear to the man. Man goes unconscious after so many G's. How are you going to transfer his soul? How are you going to transfer his body to the new dimension? This is what is exciting to travel with the speed of light. Now they say you can do it in 2025. But would a live man come out of the system? No way. Man at few G's in fighter plane goes unconscious. Man in rocketing will go different dimension. What would man do in the speed of light? So the answer is what we have put. What is the teaching? It's the way the universe works, not the way man has liked and would like to boast about it. We are going to travel with the speed of light. Are you sure? Would your system ever survive? Would it not go through the transmutation of energy and you have nothing? And then we say, we lost our system. Because you never understood a system traveling with the speed of light needs protection of the magnetic field to not to go through that barrier of sounds breaking and then the rest of it. Now you understand. Does not matter how man develops his technologies, physical technologies, speed of light, or whatever. If man does not learn to protect the physicality of the man, to protect the what we call the craft, in a dimension of universal magnetic fields, man is still playing with a dream. As I said to the Chinese, in a very direct way, you're going to go with the speed of light in 2025, then what? Can you carry a man? Can you carry an object and come out on the other end? If the speed of sound, multiple speed of sounds, creates such a problem for you, then what's going to happen with the rest of it? Does it going to go in the dimension of weightlessness? What weightlessness will be? If few meters above Earth gives you weightlessness, what's going to be done to you in the dimension of higher G's of the different atmosphere, different conditions? Now you see, now you understand, there is no solution for man to travel in the depths of the universe without fully understanding the interaction of the fields, fully understanding the existence of the soul, fully understanding how he's going to transfer and transmute. Technological gain does not bring maturity of the soul, does not bring maturity of understanding the work of the universe. And this is what the scientists of today are trapped in. This is how the scientists, from one excuse to another, block new understanding, block new technologies. Because they don't understand. They have to stop the rest not to understand too. And when they understand, if they can steal it, they put it in their own name, not to show that it came from somewhere and it's not from them. We've seen that with Stephen Hawking. We've seen that with other, what they call academicians in China and other scientists. Now you understand. There is no choice. There is no option. There is no way man can travel the depth of the universe with the speed over the speed of light, even the speed of light, by order of magnitude, if he does not understand first how to transfer itself to the energy of itself, that energy can transfer without physicality, then manifests itself in physicality. And this is exactly what all the teachings of the Keshe Foundation are. As you see, we develop systems that allows your soul to expand, for you to understand the work of it, while at the same time, as we showed in London, we're still developing systems for your physicality to understand how it'll happen. What's the next step? Because, as I said, not all of you like to eat Chinese. You still go in and ask for a fish and chips. And a lot of you go to the Chinese, sit on the table, but the fear does not allow you to touch something new. What's going to happen? Would my body accept this new way of cooking? And you still stick to that essence, taste of your fish and chips. As we've seen, many of knowledge seekers, I didn't feel anything. Because in the background, the fear of new brings a fear of I keep. And because it's an emotion of physicality, does not let the soul of the man to expand. And this is the rule, thou shalt not steal. We cannot force you. We can take you to the water. It's you who has to accept and drink the water. Otherwise, stay thirsty and look at the other horses drinking and say, I don't know how to drink. I don't know how they drink. All you need is to bend your head and stick your head in it. New ways, new technologies, combination of new technologies will come into operation as it has now, as we are preparing in both parallel ways together. We are preparing governments, nations, military to accept, to understand the new dimension of physicality in every aspect, while we're teaching the knowledge seekers how to travel with the speed of soul, how to travel, how to interact, how to transmute. That in the future, you have the option of both. When we did the very first test in Ghent University with the electrical engineering department in assessing how we can lift the systems, how things can go, it was very strange. The limitation came 200 kilograms. We asked why. First of all, crosswind. Secondly, most of the elderly would not like to feel they're off the ground. So we have to stick to the ground. Reduce a 20-tonner to 200 kilo. Reduce a ton car to 200 kilo. That elderly who have the fear know they still have a wheel on the ground. What about the youngsters? What about those who are adventurous and would like to take off? We have to make a legislation for it. There are no traffic lights, there are no legislation, and there are no court of judgment of higher speed and lower speed in a space. There is no even a system to detect what speed you travel, let alone to give you a speeding ticket. I put this to you many times. Maybe you understand today, maybe you understand in the future. Man, with all his technological advancement, has not managed to measure the speed of the magnetic field which comes out of a tiny solid magnet. We know there is a field, and they draw a line that it goes, but I asked this question many times from plasma physicists, from electronic and electrical engineers. Can you tell me what's the speed of that thing you show? If it's there, It's moving. You tell us moving around the earth and has a tail. What is its speed? What forces will it create? What physical effect will it have on the physicality? In one of the very recent tests, the knowledge seekers in the background who were in it, they know what I'm talking about. We ran a physical system and we had no system on another table nearby, but it had the weight sensors. And then it started showing change of weight. I said, now you understand what you're dealing with? When you switch your system on, the magnetic field of your system pressurizes another object and it shows weight. It shows reduction of weight. How come? It's the same with us. We now monitor these things. We don't have the system to measure a simple magnetic field, the speed. And we are happy with the speed of light. The speed of magnetic field is so much higher than the speed of light that it blinds to us. We don't see it. We cannot see it. We have no system to detect it. These are the technologies which has to be developed. We do not feel, do not know. We come to false assumption because we see some of it. We call it the speed of light. It takes 8 minutes or whatever to take from the sun to us. My dear friend, the minute it leaves the sun is in you, it's part of you. Where have you come up with this 8 minutes? Just because you have a bicycle and you say it takes a bicycle from A to B 8 minutes, doesn't mean that the jumbo jet will do the same thing in 1 microseconds of it. Or you're denying that advancement of the technology is not there. We just calculate the bicycle. As today's car, as I said before, we're still measuring how many horses. Now you understand. You have to understand. You have no option. Now the technological development is going on both ways. How are we going to link the horse to the car? Do we put 150 horses in front of the car and run them together? Or do we feed the horse 150 meals to have the 150 times more energy to see if it matches the car? None of it makes sense. But out of our own lack of understanding, we accepted both rubbish languages. Now we have to. Now is the job of the scientist to measure that magnetic field strength, that magnetic field dimension around the solid magnet. As the scientists told us, we don't have a tool for it. One day we will have. Now that we can travel with the speed of soul, we can understand that there is a higher order than the speed of light. Then we'll see what happens. I'll give you an example. Ask your lover, your partner, your mom, your dad, whoever sits next to you when you're asleep and watches you, and you go to sleep, and then you wake up and you tell your observer, I had such a dream. And we know the dimension of the soul travels. Ask the observer, did you see any light coming out of my body when my soul traveled, when I went to dream? Did I become a ball of light when I went in dreamland? I went to see my grandpa who died decades ago, and I went to, God knows, to this island, and I went to another part of the space. Ask your observer, did you see me? Because the speed is going to be the maximum speed of light. Some light has come out of me. Or the speed of the travel of the soul is so much faster than the speed of light that we don't even observe it with our eyes. The same as we cannot see in the dark. We cannot see the higher dimension of the field. We are narrowed to the magnetic field strength of this planet for observation and no more. Our observation in another dimension, when we manifest ourselves, will be fixed by that environment. Maybe in that environment, we see 10 times the speed of light than what we see on this planet. So are we going to be blind there? Or now we see, we observe, we see a higher strength? These are the realities that us as knowledge seekers, as those who are advancing in technology, will come to be mature to understand. We have no choice. We have to develop new tools. We have to understand it's our lack of knowledge and not the ignorance that it doesn't exist. Wisdom comes from openness to understand, from openness to accept, to analyze and develop and go further. Not by denial to lock it away, because then it shows I'm stupid. Now you understand how, when we start telling you a new dimension of teaching starts, new understanding of the soul, the work of your field. Do you still need to see a UFO in the sky to wait for it to land? Or you can ask directly in connection with what you have, in knowledge which you could have access to, where are you going? What's the next stop? We're going to planet Zeus. Can I come? I'd like to see the dimension of physicality. I like to be on that roller coaster, even though I can go with my soul. And then when you reach near planet Zeus, sorry, UFO cannot land in this place, you go, okay, we go back. Or you transmute through the dimension of your soul back to the ground, to where you want to be, and transmute to that dimension and live. Or are you that Englishman who goes to China, still looks for a fish and chip shop, and expect all the Chinese to speak English? It doesn't work. The song says, I'm the alien in New York. You're the only alien which you made yourself alien because you never understood the process of the work. Now you understand. Now you have to come to realize, to experiment it yourself, test it with yourself. In accepting a new dimension, you become knowledgeable. That's why you're knowledge seekers. You have become aware of. Now you're aware of, you cannot ignore it. How would I interact? When do I know I'm in a dreamland, or I'm in a physical dimension, or my dream is the reality of the transfer of fields and not in the dimension of physicality? As I said to a child in a classroom, it's like when you go somewhere in a car. You get out of the car and you walk away doing your work. Does it deny that the car exists and it brought you there? Or do you pretend that I have no car and I walk? Or you sit in the car and say, I'm here because I'm in the car, I came with the car, anyone wants me, come in the car. Sorry, supermarket doesn't walk in. And just because you go in the supermarket doesn't mean you have a car. It's the same with your body. It's the same with your soul. You have to learn your physicality is a car. And your soul is you who drives it to the position. You can possess it and come back to it anytime you like. Or you can go shopping in the supermarket of the universe, knowing when I need it, I can call the car. I can go in the car and do what I like. And this is the fear which Most of you have. This became very clear in the last Friday tests. It became clear more than half of participants could create the light, could see the light. And some could feel the change, but they didn't know what they felt, but it had an emotional effect on them. And very few who had to deny it because then they have to accept something, felt nothing. Because by saying I feel nothing, then I can deny myself that I own a car. And some of you left with fear because the experience was too strong. And we watched you. We knew 3 minutes before any of you felt a light because we created it. We see in the operation when you people who participated created light. And we knew most of you have because the system tells us it has happened. And we have it in writing. 3 minutes before I've written, the switch has come. They will switch. And the switch has come. And then the system shows. All these data have been recorded, has been kept. It's not just to talk, because the next sessions will bring a new dimensions. The session of the 22nd of December will bring shock to many of you. That how much love is inside you and what that love can lead to. And to what extent that emotion will bring changes to you. Many of you will not have the same effect, the same emotion after going through this session of 22nd in a Christmas day, if you're a Christian, than the years before. You'll be reborn to a new dimension. You'll feel the love because then it's just nothing there, because you have already tasted the sweetness of what you're trying to explain as a Christmas, what you're trying to explain as a birth. Then you understand how things work. Then you understand how easily all can become man of universe, travelers in both dimensions, physicality and emotional energy. Everything has a reason. The things we do at a given time, knowingly and unknowingly, is set up by the soul of the physicality of the man collectively on this planet. When the rest is ready to happen, that the soul of the universe interacting creates that condition forward and creates that condition for it to manifest itself. In London, we show the weight reduction for the first time. Before I posted some pictures, this was it, scale. This time was on the screen. All the participants could see. Diplomats were taking pictures. They couldn't take enough pictures. Gram by gram, weight reduction in 6 sensors. Position was clear why one was losing. Now we carry on with the same system. We have to show what we call the world leaders, the military, the common man, that we can reduce the weight. We already know we can. We already have the flying system and the biggest fear of the biggest nation in the world of its existence. When in a very, very near future, we invite you to come to see, then you understand what it means to hold, to have, to be, and to be part of, and to be in it. It's the place to understand It's time to understand the process of creation. It's time to understand we have life as an energy and we have a life as physicality. That energy, when it's used within us, brings the physicality into motion and interaction. And if you haven't understood, which you have an energy inside you, and you have to use it in a correct way, that the physicality comes to understanding and work. I'll give you an example. You try to drive a car without the fuel in it. And the energy is not in it. It cannot go. You feel it, but you don't turn the ignition on. It's still sitting there. The soul inside, the car there, nothing happens. The energy is available. So when you switch it, then it starts. When you put it in the right order, then it moves. There is no difference between that tank of energy and your soul inside you. There is no difference between the physicality of car and the physicality of you. When you press that button, when you decide where to drive, do you put the fuel in the tank and go, or do you put the hay in front of the donkey hoping to eat it one day that it has energy to move? Now you understand. It's you who has put that limitation of driving, is put the limitation of where to go because you're not sure if that energy in the tank is the right energy, is the right mixture of fuel, and everything else is there that I can accept, I can move. I always said many times, decades ago, when the first aircrafts appeared, one of my relatives was in Moscow, comes back telling my family that they made a metal which flies. They said, you're stupid, how can the metal fly? Months, years later, that flying metal appeared in Tehran as a plane. That, oh, the guy wasn't crazy. Now you understand. We are in the same situation. That body, that soul can fly. And because the others cannot believe it, we are wrong, we are ignorant, we are following the wrong things, and this is all a dream. But when the first plane turned up in Tehran, my grandfather was saying we were laughing at ourselves how stupid we were, not believing the guy. Now you understand. Our own lack of understanding become the cause of our own shame. And not to be shameful, we become like them. We have to hide it from our family, from our friends, and everything else because they can't accept it. Now become a secret sect. We become this and that. We get accused of everything else. We go for a break. We come back. And if there's any question, we answer. And we have a few announcements to make after the break. Rick, would you like to take us through this?
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Okay, everyone. This is the 514th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, November 30th, 2023. We'll take a short few minutes break here as per usual and be back in the second half. And you can prepare a question for Mr. Keshe if you like. And I'll remind our attendees you have the ability to raise your virtual hands when we get back and ask your question in person. Okay, let's begin.
The revolutionary new Flight Enhancement Spaceship unit is due to be launched in June 2022, and in the same year is expected to fly passengers into space, to the moon and beyond for a day or even several days at a time. There is no need for the Flight Enhancement Spaceship unit to carry food or medicine, as it is equipped with the latest space technology for transportation, transmutation and deep space operation. This extraordinary breakthrough technology ushers in a new era of travel without the need of fuel, food or medicine, even during the longest excursions into deep space. Each spaceship unit has a 4-passenger capacity for long or short duration flights and has the capability to travel between cities on Earth in a matter of seconds to minutes, depending on the distance and speed. This ability to traverse massive distance in such incredibly short time is not just a breakthrough for human transport, it also completely revolutionizes the transportation of goods and cargo and will rapidly overcome the need for one of our most polluting practices, namely marine shipping, as it finally breaks us free not only from the combustion of heavy diesel, but from the combustion of any fuel for propulsion in the future. The Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit, a new paradigm in space travel, space medicine, and space technology.
Okay, welcome back everyone to the 514th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here. And because it's the second half, we get to ask questions of Mr. Keshe, depending on whether he is ready for that at this point in time. How about it, Mr. Keshe? How would you like to proceed?
Ready and willing. Let me make a couple of announcements. The first announcement is next Thursday teaching will be at 6 p.m. done at 9 a.m. Next week teaching will be at 6 o'clock in the evening and not 9 o'clock in the morning. As you know, as we need, we move because of the position we are in things. we have to move sometime the sessions, and next Thursday teaching is at 6 p.m. Central European time. I do apologize for this, but some of the things needs to be done. The other point is that in the next couple of weeks, you will see a new product coming out of the Keshe Foundation. Is the expansion on the knowledge of the previous, what you had before. Paint pens will improve drastically with a new addition of knowledge and technology. The new, what we call the red dot, carries a red dot on it. Red dot pen, what we call paint pens, will be a new development in a huge leap in the science of the technology of the paint pens. So you will see a new product. Maybe it'll come out and it's called the red paint pen. It's got the red dot on it to tell you it's the latest advancement in technology. It's like you buy Apple and you get a new Apple version now. This is much more advanced and with much, much better outcome, faster, and reaches other points that others could not do. This will be promoted maybe today, tomorrow. This week, during the week, Keshe Foundation will launch a large number of what we showed as handcraft goods at the first time as what we call the star in the London conference. A new range of products which carry embedded in them for the purposes that have been brought out with cancers will be launched. These are not just cuddly toys. These have a lot of effects. We tell you what is for whatever we call it in different sizes. These are not mass-produced, they're individually handmade and then processed by the Keshe Foundation for the Keshe Foundation. This is a range we were trying to bring it before Christmas, and if any of you can, at the same time we can meet the demand, will be put in it. When you make the order, you put on it, I want it for happiness, I want it for pain, I want it for this and that. Then we'll see how we can adjust every individual thing to your need. You want it to be warm, you want to bring love, you want it to be cuddly and whatever. We try to get it done. It's never been done before. It's every unit is handmade according to your need. There is unique things we started because it's part of the development of the technology. At the same time, we are inducing on the side of the paint pen what we call the paint packages. As you had the knee, now the paint package will come out the same way and is there as against, and you know how to use these things, and let us know how you feel and how it'll work as part of the trial of understanding more about the technology. These are important because in space travel, we go through, as I said, the pain of birth. That's why we cry when we are born. These are parallel to completion of that process through the transmutation. And then we tell you how and why, and the process is needed, and how you feel it, and how it will be. At the same time, the wellness centers will run 3 new type of processes for their completion of the technology by the doctors. This has nothing to do with the Keshe Foundation. The trial is very limited numbers. This is one for breathings, and one is they're doing the head units. There is one for rheumatic pain, and they're doing another one for what we call chronic pains. These are the systems to do with the wellness center, and there is a very limited number of places because it takes a lot of their time. You can get in touch with them and sort out with them if you would like to test and go through this trial, and they will tell you immediately. You have to go through their email. This is not to do with the Keshe Foundation, and as you know, you have to go through their what we call the office at de.kfwellness.center. This is to do with the doctors We are not involved in the what they call medical or health application. This is the section of the doctors which they use the technology, and you work with them. This office at de.kfwellness.center. They are running lunches. They've launched their systems for these kind of things. If you get in touch with them and talk with the doctors, and then you can use their facility for that job. And it's a very, very limited number. It's the new structure of technology that they're testing. We're still working on the February meeting in China for the knowledge seekers. This will heavily be offered to the Chinese knowledge seekers. The translators of the Keshe Foundation in Chinese, please promote this. We announce the date and the time and the place where knowledge seekers, Chinese knowledge seekers, can, within China, come to Sanya, and we meet with the knowledge seekers from the world in that meeting. We're still sorting these out, and when it's completed, we'll let you know the place, the time, and everything else to go with it. We come to you in respect to new structure of what we call flight test. In the new year, we will endeavor to do the first transmutation flight, and we already have the 2 first people for it. If there are any new people who would like to join this, let us know. You want to be the passengers of the what we call the first transmutation, and we start the process sometime in January, February, that we are ready for the what we call Chinese conference. New technologies, breakthrough technologies will be shown in Chinese conference, which, as we said, we show the new technology for the first time, weight reduction with new technology, as was shown on the screen, and it was live on the platform. People could see running of the system, weight reduction of the system. This time we'll endeavor to go through the whole process of the transportation and transmutation. Possibly, if it can be done and it's feasible in interaction with what we call European governments and the Chinese government, that we do the first transmutation. It means we try to make the transmutation during the conference, which means people in Europe or America, wherever you become and join the transmutation, you'll be manifested on the platform in the conference. This is our job. You already booked a ticket to be there, keep to that ticket. We refund you for the ticket if you can't do it. But those of you who volunteered, be ready for the phase of transmutation for the Chinese conference. We have to go through a lot of rigmaroles with the Chinese government, with the European government, how we will transmute 2 people or 4 people out of China into China, accepting their arrival by the Chinese authorities out of the condition. We had this problem with the Austrian government when we asked for immigration officers. We have to sort this out, and if we can sort it out, and the knowledge has reached that point that we can do, expect to see the transmutation. I hope we can do it for the Chinese conference. This will show the advancements of knowledge and technology in Beijing conference as we plan to do. If you want to volunteer to be as part of that transmutation, the first transmutations, we still accept people, because we have to understand different psychological patterns, different what we call social behavior. We have to understand how would your soul allow you that when you appear, manifest yourself in China, inside you're, let's say, German, but outside you see yourself as a Chinese. These are a lot of things you have to overcome in accepting the change, in science and development in science. So all these materials system has to be done, has to be covered up, and covered up by all of us, step by step, to cover the transportation. We have to cover to the next steps of transportation from here to the moon. We have to cover the next step of transportation from here to outside solar system. And it has to all be covered up by all of us. We have to cover it. We are the reading structure. We have to teach people to understand. And we cannot be held back by those who, through their lack of knowledge, work with themselves, trying to block things up and the rest of it. There is a notice which I give you. There is a possibility that one of the, because we don't want to touch the Keshe Foundation, this is outside the framework of Keshe Foundation, there is a possibility that one of the X, which is kicked out of the Keshe Foundation, knowledge seekers, will become publicly known to be imprisoned due to the activities against the Keshe Foundation very soon. This is not the step we have taken, it's a step taken by governments. You will know the knowledge seeker, and if it comes public, and if he or she or whatever, we don't want to put to it, receives a prison sentence, it has nothing to do with the Keshe Foundation. They might try to connect it to us. It has nothing to do with us, because it's their private life and it's the way they live their life. So as we grow, these things come along, and you have to be aware. We keep you in touch in what is going on, but there is a possibility as one of our ex well-known knowledge seekers will be sentenced to prison in a very short time for criminal activities outside the Keshe Foundation, nothing to do with us, but they're trying to connect it to us, but we have to be aware. If there are any questions, I'll try to answer. Thank you very much.
Okay, great, Mr. Keshe. We have a number of questions, especially on the YouTube channel here, where there's 4 questions lined up. Let's begin with the first one, with Nina. And it's a question you talked, I think I'll frame it a little bit. You talked earlier today in today's teaching about dimensions, the dimension of the soul of physicality, and dimension of physicality. Now, Nina asked earlier, could you please explain each dimension to us? I think that's what she's referring to.
Yeah. The dimension of physicality is you, your physical life, your body. The dimension of soul of physicality is that love you feel. Is a dimension of interaction of the fields of the physical life. The dimension of the soul is what connects you to the outside world of your physicality with this limitation. Your body walks, you eat, you feed it, you do everything else with it. But everything you do is not just eating it because I have to eat. You eat it according to what emotion it gives you. You kiss your partner because it gives you a confirmation of I exist. Somebody loves me and I can love back. You have a desire, or you take an apple, you think of one apple, you get up and you go to the fridge and you pick up an apple to eat it. Because my physical body has a need, a love, or emotion to connect with that apple. I call it consuming, but in a way, the apple calls me, I'm here for you. You don't want me? It's not that just, oh, I feel an apple and I go and get it. In a way, they feel the strength of the apple in the fridge is there. I'm here. Nobody wants me. Oh, I have a fridge in the apple in the fridge, and I'll go and get it. So we have to understand a lot. This is what we call the soul of physicality. It's connected to you. The soul of the man is, you're sitting in this room, you're still enjoying the apple. Your limitation is the wall because it's around you. You don't see any beyond it. If there's a window open, you see the neighbors across the road. But your mother is sitting in New York, you're in London. Then, oh, I feel something wrong with mom. Now the man limitation cannot go. Your limitation is the wall, you're entrapped in the dimension of sex. But your energy, which is connected to your mom, it says, there is a problem with mom. Because you have not learned to carry on without communication all the time. Mom, how are you? How are you feeling? I want to feel. Oh, this is your kidney. You had a brain hemorrhage. Oh, you're happy because my sister from another place has come to see you. You have to pick up the phone. You open the line and call, Mom, I just thought about you. Are you happy? I felt you're sad. Hello? You ignored the line of communication of your soul with your mother, and you still, because you're so physical, you keep that phone with you. And we ignored that part. And this system of communication is working 24 hours a day. Doesn't go to sleep, doesn't need food, doesn't need rest, and is working continuously because it feeds itself through the fields of the universe. Elevation comes through physical consumption. So now you understand the difference. It's your physical body on the sofa. It's your emotion of enjoying the odor, the essence, the touch, the feeling, the warmth, the everything else with that apple you're chewing. But this is limited to the wall. You cannot see beyond dimension of physicality of the wall. But the soul feels the mother in New York. And that's your soul. And this is what we denied. And the more and more we become closer, the more and more we become aware of, you just don't need to talk. Because you use that line of communication. Because you learn a new language. You go to language lessons, you watch television programs to learn French, to learn German. And the language which you know you denied. I have a gorgeous feeling and understanding of this. When we came to England in 1970s, my younger brother went to one of the exclusive private schools in England. He looked a little bit Pakistani, because you can say the difference between the Pakistanis and Indians, and a little bit Harvard. He had that inclination towards that. But he wanted to learn English, and he didn't want to interact with the Iranians in his school. And those days, it was a rich time, half of the school were the Iranians. So anybody asked him, are you Iranian? He says, no, I'm from Pakistan. Then they couldn't speak to him Farsi, and he had to speak English because he wanted to learn English. One day, a Pakistani guy says, if you're Pakistani, why don't you speak Urdu? He says, nothing to do with you. I don't like to speak Urdu. He denied himself because he chose to learn a new language, to be in the environment, to learn the culture, but he had no choice. It was the only private school in the city, and that's how he had to go, where to go. He was conditioned. But we used to laugh at him. Even till he was alive, I used to call him Pakistani Motion. Because he, with that way, learned to become. He became more English than Englishman. He learned every facet of how to live, to talk, to be. But he was a pure Iranian in his culture, in living, and everything else. So we are in the same position. We deny ourselves because it suits us to be in that position. We deny our soul. We deny what is natural to us because we've been told to deny, because with that, the religious people can abuse us. The denial of the soul has come out of the religion, out of the belief, not out of our choice of us. And anybody who connects to it is something wrong with. If you had a new controversy which has been going around the Keshe Foundation, I explained to you, it's very easy. Now that we start teaching about the soul, the understanding and the work and all the work we do, a sect of the Christianity has said this is antichrist because they said when the Christ comes, these things will appear first. They don't say these things appear because the time has come. And now this sect of Christians, oh, something wrong with Keshe Foundation. They're antichrist. Because they said these are the sign when the promised one comes. So if we are the sign, how could be anti? It doesn't work. Because we are part of it. You denied the existence of your soul to yourself because it's brainwashed. How do we know the difference? You don't need to know the difference. It's you. There has never been a difference. Your sofa, your body on it, you enjoying the apple, that's the wall giving you the limitation. But this can jump out, can be somewhere else. When we did a test with the Chinese military in the summer of this year, they said, oh, you're producing material inside the room. And this is what is created here. When the military officers were walking outside, it says, it's coming outside too. It's got nothing to do with the walls. The walls and the glass don't stop it. It's raining the same outside. Because the military generals never understood this is a plasma, has no physical dimension. And this is the same with you. Your soul has no physical. It's shiny, it rains, it goes outside. You blocked, you imprison the body on the sofa. The guy is free. You're a prisoner. The soul is free and travels the span of the universe. And sometimes when in his travel, in touch, it comes to understand and work with others and gets enlightened, we get the beautiful people like Tesla. The enlightenment of the information, the understanding of it becomes the most admired scientist in the world of electronics or electricals and magnetic fields. Because the limitation of the knowledge in the dimension of physicality is the wall you created around you sit in it. It's not limitation to the energy inside you, which is your soul, which travels the span of the universe. How many times you sat somewhere and you were sitting and says, oh, I can do this different. And you get up and you do so. Oh, this is a new thing, new invention, new thing. Hello? Did that come to you while you were sitting there when the soul was traveling? Did part of it come from intuition and then you translated it into this and it became something new for you? Is that the daydream you call now enlightened, or something came to me and I tested it and it works? Then you understand. As I said, we all in it is accepting it, understanding it, and what we do with it. I sat with my sister discussing about, and I've said this before, homeopathy. She's a homeopathy doctor. And she was telling me this and this and that. I tried to explain to her, this is not the way you understand it. How it works is different. And in discussion, I fell asleep. She was sitting next to me. And I woke up. She said, I saw you downloading. Because I got up, I said, I'm going to write a paper about homeopathy that you understand. You learn the physical dimension. You don't understand the field dimension of it. And I wrote the paper after homeopathy within hours. And she said, I watched you. You were downloading information. The way your body, your eyes were moving is not normal. I said, does it matter? Now you know the fact. Now you know the truth. How he came, asleep, awake, running, in shower, whatever. Because it's the knowledge we have to accept. And this is what we call the soul. And we have denied this to ourselves. Next time when you say, oh, I felt this, say, my soul tells me this, and I do that. And I had a lot of people, very recently, one of the knowledge seekers writing that to me. My soul told me, Mr. Keshe. I said, your soul told you, but you are misinformed by the knowledge because then you need somebody to confirm it to you. We have to understand horses for courses. Your physicality is for dimension of your existence. Your solar physicality is for its interaction with its environment, emotionally, and how they react physically. And then the soul is this body of you, and the software has a fuel tank which is connected to the others. It is not petroleum, is magnetic field. With the petroleum, you need a tank to hold it. With the magnetic field of the soul, you need the universe, not even to contain it, but to understand where it goes. Any other question? Oh, we become very Christmassy.
Yeah, you could say that. It's the season for the red and green.
Yep.
They say green is the color of love, and we have a heart in the center.
Yeah. Is that one of those things you tell to the system and it creates your image?
No, this is from Jedi Simon. He uses equations and his process to create art through not AI, but a different type of mathematical process.
Any other question?
Yes. Let me see. Perhaps we can go to our Q&A here. We have a question from Pierre Luigi, who says, Rupert Sheldrake spoke of morphogenic fields, Roberto Zamperini of ordinal fields. Through the splenic chakra, one could reach them and clean them through a clean energy constructed by Zamperini with orgone energies and more. How do you explain this with the Keshe technology of plasma fields?
I don't know what they're talking about.
I knew you were going to say that.
I never make comment about something, no, I don't know what you're talking about. There are eminent scientists, we respect it, but you cannot talk just to say something because I have no clue what you're talking about and who these people are, that what they're talking about.
Okay, well, let's go with a more generic kind of question,
yeah.
Which I had a question I was trying to formulate, and it's also kind of related to Nina's question and her next question, which I was going to bring up as well. So basically, Pierre Luigi's question is, how do we access the fields? How do we reach them, and what's that process? And Nina's question, her next question is, what kind of connection do we have with the angels? And then my question was regarding your spiral of field strength, and where you say the greatest strength is in the center. But then you've also said recently that to look for the creator, we look toward the smallest energy levels, the smallest magnetic fields.
No, the lowest. The lowest.
Okay, that's what I need to figure out. You said lowest, not smallest. So what's this high and low? We elevate ourselves, do we not? And if it's elevation, how come it's lower? And this higher and lower is getting confusing here, I guess.
It's not very
sort it all out for us.
Yeah, it's not very confusing. If you look at the spiral, and I've drawn it many times, especially in recent past, you look at the spiral which I draw, and I've said many times, look at the gap between the spiral. There's another line which comes in. We receive, we connect to the weakest to the others as they feed us the strength of that. In that process, it becomes the weakest that it goes in the center and it becomes the strongest to come out. You can connect when you are giving, you can connect when you're taking. And as you take and your interaction with other fields, the more deeper you go, the weaker you become. But as you are weaker, the stronger attracts, which is in the center, to give. This, the way I draw the spiral, has the line of creation. It's the way the universe is created. You see the line, but look at the space in between. Is more of, as it opens up, there is more gap between the lines. You look at the lines, but you have to look what's in between the two lines. And by interaction, the more it interacts with the other fields as it goes to the center, it becomes the weakest and weakest. Because it's given more of its energy in interaction to get to that point. So when we talk, when you get to the center, you're at the lowest level that you can switch. Is the way that how much you can decrease the salinity that become alkaline, that it gives, where salinity takes. If you have done tests, if you have pushed the gravity to its limit, gravity becomes magnetical. What was pulling now pushes, because it's that this is what we see in reality in change of polarity in the solar systems. Is the current inside which changes and pushes so much that its strength becomes its weakness and it makes it to twist. And when the solar system changes its gravity to a magnetical and pushes the current flow of the fields into reverse, change of polarity, it's not just the polarity of the sun which is changed. The magnetic inertial field forces of the whole solar system changes. We don't see every time the Earth's gravitational magnetic field changes because it has a different strength. It doesn't have the same strength as the sun, but that change affects it to create so much. So don't look at the line as it opens up. Look at what it receives in a bigger and bigger gap, and in interaction with what goes out, releases its energy and becomes the weakest. And at the point when all the weak gathered, it transfers back to the feeling and become magnetic. You try to create the most alkaline condition, and then you see it behaves acidic. And acidic at the lowest level, not at the highest level. The more you go to the extremes of alkaline, the more you start seeing the signs of the other side, of acidic, of the lower order, because it has to start from somewhere. It doesn't change from high alkaline to high acidic. It goes so much that then he has to start the interaction of the fields material inside creates the first chains of reactions of the alkalineness, and then you see acidic back off. We see the same thing with gravitational systems. When we create reverse flight, we move the magnetic field up and down, we see we have to go from gravity to magnetical. It's a switch time. This is what I even said in the London conference to the knowledge seekers. If we leave the system long enough, what is becoming reduction in weight, it becomes flight. Because it absorbs so much gravity that it reverses itself to repulsion. We reduce weight so much that we call it anti-gravity, but it's not. There's so much gravity, so much gravitational is rejected in the system that it becomes repulsion. And you get the lift. Once we go through this test, which are going again, we'll take you live to the labs to see how weight reduction lifts up. We do this deliberately in these sessions from now on, is to influence the governments, diplomats and politicians to understand the change live. It's not just something to show. This is important to bring governments to understand the time of the fuels, or when they watch it together. The way we showed in London, we go live on Zoom. It's your job to call anyone to come online to see on YouTube, on Zoom. You will see we start showing weight reduction and you watch it 5 gram, 10 gram at a time, every minute, and then it builds up, it builds up, it builds up, and suddenly flips over. The way we did in the Sensano, you watch 129, we bring the shock of the what we call lift and motion, very soon to Keshe Foundation. Yesterday, in one of the tests, out of the 7 kilogram system, we monitored 1.3 kilogram on one leg, and the other is nearly 2 kilogram reduction. And then we change the position. We watch like 50 gram, 5 gram, 10 grams. But the system was set for the meeting with the world ambassadors and the, what you call, high commissions. Very soon, we invite you to watch, because it's one for you to see. Secondly, it's for governments and the rest to watch live the way you watch 129. You go on every channel, inform everyone to come on this channel. You watch how weight reduction and lift is created. We are not afraid of failure, and we don't cover our successes. What are you trying to show?
This is one of the
129.
earlier, this is, yeah, the weight reduction one, actually. It's like 3 hours and 20 minutes of
What is this
basically one? This. It's just one of the older videos from 2011 or 14. I'm not sure. I think it's 2014.
Yes, this is the Sensano. Correct.
Right, yeah.
This is the Sensano. Yeah. Now we bring you back to watch. Because we have shown it live in London to the world ambassadors. We went down from 0 up to 540 gram reduction. And one of our guys, one of the people in the session asked, what do you do with this? And by mistake, what do you call it? They touched it to show the current. and then they eliminated the whole thing back to zero. We allow it, it'll go up to, what do you call it, a system. But you have to understand the new system which is developed is generator. It produces its own energy. And so as I said, if you were in London, you see there are no cables attached to power the system. It's independent and is connected to the two flight system. We still follow the same procedure. We still follow what we call one as the center, as a sun, and one as the one which shows most of it. But with the new system, both sets have got weight sensors. So we see exactly which leg is going. In the test this week, we saw two of the legs losing weight, or two of the legs gaining weight, and the third leg goes up. It's exactly physical life. You know, if you put your two hands on, your back leg goes up. Or when you push the leg down, the two hands will come up. The interaction of the fields is there. It's, as I said, very soon we have set everything up. All the cameras, everything is set for the minute when we decide to call you in and you watch live. Because we have to emphasize before, we have to show the development in the physical side, which we have left for a long time, but a lot of research is going on with it, to teaching of the soul and the energy. Now it's time to bring both in parallel, that you see this, if this happens, you have to accept the other one happens too. And then we bring the governments to head-on collision in development. And this is part of the work which is now will extend into China and Chinese, what they call it, operation of the Keshe Foundation. You will see the development. We are not taking anything from it. Everything, all the funding, everything going to this part of the work to be done. And now what we left for a while to complete the obesos and everything, it has reached a point that now we bring in the flight system into operation, that we can show the two, because the government need to see the two. When you see one works, you accept the other one. Any other question?
Okay, thank you. Yes, this video was the 129 Tesla video, yes. And it's about to kick over from, I think it's at 92 right now. And then there'll be a big sudden surge to jump to the 129 Tesla coming up in a minute or two here, I think.
Let's have a look at it. We have with this system, we have only one weight sensor, which was on a hanging frame, and we could see the motion of this system. And then after 129, if you remember, to show the weight deduction, we hung the system of the frame, the same system, in another room where we ran the, what do you call it, Christmas section between Canada and Germany and Italy, where we couldn't stop a system. The reason we couldn't stop that system because it had no connection to the Earth. It was hanging free, so we had the control through emotion. You're still at 1186 and 16448. Yeah, this was done live from the Sensano. You see the left side, you have the change of the triangles. This shows the field flow strength, if it's coming in or it's going out. Okay, any other question?
Oh,
Are you there?
sorry, my microphone was off there. Freed had a suggestion in the um, live stream about February 10th, 2024 will be the Chinese New Year of the wood dragon. Is that a good moment for the Chinese conference? Workers
No
will
way.
7 days
No.
off from February 8th to February 15th.
Yes, no way. You Chinese is the most holiest time. You can't move them for New Year. You'll have an empty place.
Mm.
They travel the whole nation to be home. This is the when it comes about a day, 2 days before the Chinese New Year, even in Beijing, you start seeing the city empties. There's hardly any. For those 3-4 days of the Chinese New Year, you can actually, it's a pleasure to drive in Beijing to go somewhere because there's no traffic. They all go home. And in tradition, there is no way we'll go at that time with it.
Okay. From David in the YouTube, can the soul feel pain or suffer like the physicality?
Oh, yes, but it's in a different way. It's in a different way. Suffering is by losing, reduction in the strength. You cannot comprehend, you cannot reach that point of what it needs. The lower, in a way, you go in a soul, the more physical dimension of life you accept. It becomes very physical. And then the rest of it goes with it. This needs to be explained, not to misunderstood. But one day when knowledge seekers and the rest mature to this, I explain this. How the hell is that life of physicality, which the soul, strength reduces or works in that dimension only. What is the bottom line on this picture? Do you see it? Yeah. It's not very clear. Your microphone is up, I think, Greg. We can't hear you.
Yes. Yes, this is the, that bottom part is the 92 or 97 Tesla, I believe, which is about to jump any second here, any minute. Or I can just move the video ahead to that point so we can kind of review it. Let me do that. That would be better. I'll center it. So I'm not sure. No, there it is. Okay. So it's within probably a minute or so here, maybe less.
This is where we jumped into. You have to understand, at 105 was the record kept by the Americans, producing in a huge power station, use of power and all sorts of things, 10 million plus euro test facility, and the knowledge seekers achieved 129 with a few reactors and a few thousand euros. Because we understand, there it is jumped, is it? No, not yet, it's still 92. We understand the work. With the new systems coming into operation with the plasma and what we call transmutation, you're working in order of magnitudes lower than this.
There it goes.
It jumped.
Yeah, let's have a instant replay of that. Let's see here.
What does it jump to? 120.
It goes right up to 129, I believe. Now, if we watch the triangles, they go quite there. It's a big. We went from a triangle to a big square at that point.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can actually capture that. It's a very quick blip.
There.
No, it's.
You missed it.
Yeah, it's still. I thought I had it closer there. What happened? Oh, okay.
Search there. We see this in the test. Suddenly it just jumps up by 0.5 gram, 5 gram, and then it goes. We most probably, when we see the data and we see the appropriate, we have to consult other people who will affect them. We invite you to watch the process, because now we have to confirm both the physical dimension and the soul. Because as I said, you believed in Ganses, now you see, you understand the effect of the emotion and the rest. Somebody wrote, how can I become what they call it, part of transference? It's just it's on the internet. You have to write to the info@keshe.foundation, or you go on the website on the sales side of the Keshe Foundation, and you register through and you pay your fees, and that's how it goes. We have a session tomorrow with knowledge seekers. It's the second part of the what we call chrono test. Start tomorrow at 12, and then on Sunday we have a meeting with the licensees of the Oasis, and we start the training of the use of these systems by them. So it will be a busy time. And for those of you who are not here, next Thursday teaching will be at 6 p.m. Central European Time, not 9 a.m. Any other question?
Okay, we don't have any attendees with a hand up here yet, so I guess they're a little reluctant today. But we do have another question in the YouTube with Mikhail. Says, good morning. What do you mean when you say we have no choice? What choice is this, or simply what are we talking about in these terms? I think you mentioned that in the earlier part of the teaching today. You also mentioned it, that phrase, we have no choice, in the later part as well, but this question was earlier, so I guess he's referring to
no choice about what are we talking about?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about that time. We have no choice, I think, as far as moving forward with the showing the technology.
Well, that case is there. We have no choice. We have to show it. We have to bring the change. But as we have a very funny situation in China, we bypassed the academician approval of the Keshe Foundation. So we're going our own way. Now the academicians trying to block Keshe Foundation have come up with a new idea. How are we going to stop this? It needs to be commercialized to be accepted. And we laughed and said, what's the next step from the academicians? We accept the technology, but it has to be commercialized to be accepted by us. We're sitting on that track to be accepted, and then as I always said to the knowledge seekers, we could take it, oh, man has been to Mars. How do we know we are out of space? They'll show us that. And then we only accept it if you're on another galaxy. And then when somebody says I'm in another galaxy, we don't believe it because we can't see another galaxy. So there's something wrong with the knowledge and the technology. There is no limit into it. So we have no choice. We show, we go, and those who want will take and move on with it. Any other question?
Well, we have a random comment from Caroline in YouTube, who mentions, "Hi, I've got third sleepless night. I have neck pain and feel so lonely." I don't know if that is relevant to anything, but that was the comment there, and perhaps someone can use that. Let's move on to the next question. And you talked about smaller fields, Mr. Keshe. In this case, Dan says, "Hello, Mr. Keshe. Please don't laugh at the question. How can we fight bed bugs in European cities? Can we use the basic gases, CO2, CuO, CuO2, CH3? Do you have a solution? Thank you very much."
Don't sleep in somebody else's bed. That's your solution. Your bed bugs are familiar with you, so they don't bite you. When you're a stranger, they bite you, so stay in your bed. Or don't let strangers to sleep in your bed. It was very interesting what talking about. When we were doing these experiments with the Chinese, only one officer, only one, no one else, because they wanted that the whole thing is monitored 24 hours. They put what do you call it, officers 24 hours a day on guard around the system. And they had to sleep in one of these houses because they moved everybody out. They had to sleep in the house, in the bed of the others. And one guy, his body was literally red. He was beaten by hundreds of these bed bugs. And in the morning, says, "I can't do anything. Look at my hand. Look at my body. It's all beaten." And I remember the higher rank officer says, "You stay in that bed. It's your job to be here. You watch." And how come out of so many people, he was the only one which is getting beaten? If they were there in the bed, they were always switching time, so they haven't slept, others slept in the same bed. We're not getting beaten, only he was getting beaten. Maybe, but as we know, these are in our bed all the time. If they are used to us, they don't touch us. Or maybe as we change emotion, we create a different environment for them, and then they say we are not happy with the change it. Two ways to do it. Don't try to kill or destroy. Try to change the environment. Changing the environment of any living things as this amino acid connected is introduce a new environment of emotion, which is mixture of the CO2 and Zn with a few drops of amino acid that you can connect to it. Maybe it connects to you and the guy in the bed somewhere, and you can both live and exist and what do you call it, create a new life. We've seen this in China. I show you something very interesting because if I can find it, it's always shown this before somewhere in the teachings. Let me, if I can dig it out, you see this. And it's very interesting because we don't kill, and we had a condition of Uh, around about 19th of March, they noticed some materials, or what we call animals, on the plants. And they send the picture to us and say, what can we do with this? With these animals, bugs on the plant. And I just told them how to do it. Just change the environment. You don't need to fight it. You don't need to kill them. So by 21st of March, there were no animals on the plant, but we didn't see any dead insects on the floor either. And they said, oh, they're gone, they moved, but we can't see any, what do you call, any dead animals around it. I said, in the new technology, you change the environment and you don't kill. And that's all you need to do. So with your friendly guys in the bed, change the environment. And they will move, or they will, your brother will be so tasty to them. He has a taste which is not fitting them. Then you don't need to kill them. You don't need to move them. We all live together immaculately and perfectly. You never know what you needed. Next time you want somebody not in your bed, it doesn't fit them, invite them, they want to sleep in your bed. And it says, oh, it worked. Any other question?
Let me see. We have. Carolyn went on to say that her neck pain seems to be related to a father of which she feels threatened. She says, I don't want to carry his pain, nor do I want such a trauma reaction. Any advice you want to throw in there, Mr. Keshe?
No, I don't know what it is. Never make it. I'm not a doctor, but we never make comment on these things. I found a picture for you that if we go back on it. Let me do a little bit of cleanup. Our knowledge seekers from China know this very well. I have to. It's a little bit. There's too much information you don't want to see. Done. Okay, I have to go to sharing with you. I'm learning how to use Zoom, which is very strange after so many years. Okay, now have a look at this. This, as you see, is the bugs, and you see them all there. We just changed the mixture. We just washed the thing. You can see it's the beans. All the beans are hanging. They eaten all the leaves, and to a farmer it'll be lost because they go in eating the rest of it. Actually, they're killing the leaves. The beans are on their own. You can harvest them much easier. And that's 19th of December. Sorry, March. And this is 2 days later. And then we have a picture that there is none. They all moved out. But we don't see any dead insects anywhere. Going from this to this, and then totally nothing. They just moved out. And this is, that's why I said, you don't need to kill them. You just change their environment. And I give you another picture the following day. You see it? And there is no harm to the harvest. And I have to go back and choose a picture for you to cancel. Choose this one. I go back. And share again. Then you see the progress in 3 days. This is the first one. This is the second one. This is the third one. Hardly anything gone. And there is no dead bodies anywhere to collect. Did they go to the next door neighbor farm? We don't know. We didn't ask. Did they all went back where they came from? We don't know where they came from. But the environment wasn't good enough for them to live. So they moved. You see it very clearly. Do we need to use pesticide? It's the same where we saw in tomato growth in Iran, where the farmer using the Keshe technology, before they used to go and take all these, what do you call it, little weeds and everything out. It was a big menace to them. But they learned they don't touch it, but they have more harvest. So why just ignore them? Because the harvest increased because of the, not because of them, but because it's taking normal environmental energies. Any other question? This lady you talk about the pain in the neck, it must be the father is a pain in the neck. Find out why.
Yes, you have often talked in the past about the connection between one's relatives and ailments. So I think that's becoming a almost common knowledge now with even the medical doctors recognizing emotional basis for ailments.
To find out the reasons for it. It cannot be covered with the tablets anymore. Even our technology has to advance enough. It's not advanced yet to tune, to measure, to understand, to analyze that what field was created by the pain and what is connected to that you can reverse it. Or you can, what do you call it, elevate it that it's not there. We have very strange cases because it comes out. There was a young boy, and I said this before, whenever summer, winter came to any cold condition or water, instantaneously the whole body was get full of blisters. And after a few sessions and whatever we understood the reason, he could go and jump in the pool without any problem. He could stay in cool environment without any problem. Or reverse, people who in the sun have the same allergy. Why? And then you find out it's all psychosomatic. Psychologically, they bring that themselves. Any other question? Or shall we call it a day?
Well, we have 2 questions left here, if we may. One of them from Antonio in the YouTube, who asks, Mr. Keshe, will there be a collaboration between China and Markray Corporation, or are they completely separate in the development of the plasma technology?
Totally separate. And as many of you know, I have backed Markray for past years with huge amount of money, hundreds of thousands. And we're getting to the point that we cannot back it anymore, especially with the losses we had. And we will know by the end of this year what's going to happen to Markray. The year and the year before, we backed a lot of things, brought everything into order. But with the huge losses we had because Markray existed because I financed it through foundation. Otherwise, it would have gone years. And now we're in that position where we're considering if you're going to back it, you might come out of the stock market and then we bring it back again in the future, next few years when things go further. But our collaboration with China is on a profit making. We are not going to make profit out of Chinese. It's for acceptance and development of technology in a peaceful way. Markray, what do you call it? Chinese cooperation, it doesn't bring money in our pocket. It finances the technology to be developed. And that's why we are there for. Even the Keshe Foundation doesn't make money with all the losses we had. Even it brought us to our knees in the recent past. There would have been no Keshe Foundation altogether in past months, but we tolerated. The whole team of Keshe Foundation worked relentlessly to save it, and we managed just to save it last week. You got to realize we have a huge network of pedophiles headed by my ex-wife that continuously in every direction damaging and working against the foundation. They rooted into the foundation very well without me knowing, but you trust your others, but not knowing they're actually part of it. And they extensively rooted into all directions to damage the Keshe Foundation in every sense and means. Because it was a very lucrative job being in Keshe Foundation. You saw how we put Sterling Allen into prison, solitary for life. These are all his children. These are his entourage. We didn't know. And this has caused a lot of problem for us, and it doesn't stop. And we got to the point that we carry on with what we're doing. Now we share technology, and we don't expect financial rewards. Otherwise, whatever comes, it goes back to the foundation. It's not that it brought a lot of harm to us, and this is part of how they operate. We were infiltrated deeply right inside with the organized pedophile organizations from Switzerland to Germany to Iran and the rest of it. And as you saw, when one left, a lot of people left with it. This was all part of the organized crime. And they had their boss, one of the bosses rooted right inside. And we tried to, and we done our best, but Markray Corporation has nothing to do with the Chinese operation. Chinese operation is not that profitable, and it will run on its own with the Chinese operation, with the Chinese government, not with us as a outside corporation. But we'll see what comes out, what peace negotiations we earn out of it from the Americans and the Europeans. And then even if Markray goes out of the stock market, we bring it back in due course when we balance things out.
Okay, one last question, Mr. Keshe, in our Q&A here from Hong Wai. Hello, Mr. Keshe. You said, we never die, we transform according to the existence. And you said in the 192nd Knowledge Seekers Workshop, can a soul die? Yes, as I explained before, yes. But can we be the cause of this death? It can be done, but it's only done through the position of balance when the soul sacrifices itself, not for man or another soul to end a life. So the comment is, the above sounds contradictory. Can you explain it?
No, it's not contradictory. It's exactly what it is. In the physical life, we commit suicide. We end the dimension of physicality, but we still release the soul. In the dimension of the soul, in the dimension of the soul, we give our soul, the soul is an energy pack. You have to understand, I repeat again, in terminology of the Keshe Foundation, energy is magnetic fields in motion. When you give all your fields to another entity to elevate it, you have none left. No fields to create that dimension. So you don't commit suicide. You give that you become part of, but you as you does not exist as a plasma. So you cannot go yourself and throw yourself open, but you can connect to give. They call it the suicide of the soul, that you elevate the others. Me as an individual does not exist, but me as amalgamation of the fields that elevates another soul exists. So you cannot commit suicide to blow. There is, in physicality, we can hang it. We put a bullet in it. In the dimension of the soul, there is no system to open up and finish. But you cannot commit suicide. But in a way, you can end the life by end the cycle of your plasma in its strength to another to become part of, for it to exist. So you cannot commit suicide in the dimension of the soul, but you can end it by giving to, becoming part of. The same is with the committing suicide in the physical life. You cannot, because that soul within you has not matured to its completion to find its position in the world of creation. You cannot cut a tree when it's not mature. It's the same. You cannot cut a life when it's not mature. Killing it, be it yours or the other one, to stop the cycle of elevation of the soul is forbidden. But yes, you can end the cycle of life in a physical life. You put a bullet in it, you hang it off the ceiling. In the dimension of the soul, you bring an end to it by offering, but literally creating a field of the strength of the lover who can take it up to elevate itself. The true love, the sacrifice of totality. But you cannot kill it. You cannot just blow it up and say, okay, take what you like, the rest of you. It's not your physical body that, okay, I hang in the warm, it's part of it. Uncle takes the hat and the cousin takes the shoes. You cannot. It's forbidden in both dimensions. In dimension of soul, it's impossibility. You cannot, but it's a field. How do you blow it up? Has no dimension of it, but you can find a match that you can give it to, you bring it to an end as you, but you become part of it. There is nowhere in the universe that there is no fields, and at the same time, there is no end to fields. You cannot finish because you go off different strength to a different dimension, you become part of something else. You're a seed. You take energies, you become man, or what do you call it, a fruit. The man eats a fruit, and then it becomes energy for another dimension of the man and the rest of it. Just because you eat an apple doesn't mean that end of you. The purpose of your energy is transferred to somewhere else. And that we're talking in that dimension. You cannot kill a soul, but you can end the soul by finding elevation of strength of, and matching to become part of. Suicide is forbidden for the physical dimension. Killing a life, you can bring an end to it by giving it to someone else, to another entity of the field of plasma of the strength, and it becomes part of them. When you die physically, it's nothing of your left, you become whatever. When you end in the dimension of the soul, you become part of another. Your energy as a field becomes part of it. You can end it that way, but you cannot, it's impossible to commit suicide with it. So you always exist in another, even in the dimension of physicality. The physical you is not there, but you live in the body of the worms and the plants and the rest of it. And what they convert back to another thing afterwards, it's very simple. I was explaining this to a child. When you die, in Zoroastrian belief, they leave you on the temple areas, and the other animal eats you, become part of that animal. Then that animal dies and worms eats it, then becomes part of soul. So your soul carries on through the bird to do the fox who eats the bird, and then the rest of it. And even that, in the energy level, you exist, but you cannot kill it to become part of the food line. You are the energy which you transfer to another. But you cannot kill it. But it can end its life by giving to another. What we call devotion. Anything, any other question?
One last thing from Wolfgang in the live stream, who says, Mr. Keshe said he was trained for his work, how to speak with the government, etc. Who was the trainer?
Life. The life. I came from the background of seeing these people, pictures being everywhere in the house. And then as I became part of the separating from the education to finance the research, because I didn't accept with my, what you call, the school of thoughts of nuclear, the way it was, going into business, very lucky. Literally the first year I came out of university, through that time you have to understand, being a nuclear physicist in 1970s, 80s was God. We must have been very clever. They didn't know we are most stupid lots of the whole lot, because we become so narrow-minded, because we look at the smaller and smaller. Then this title of a nuclear engineer and physicist just opened many, many doors. People did, oh, you're an electrical engineer. But if you're a nuclear engineer, oh, you was, and this opened my doors to many, many things. First of all, I came from a background of these things. I always knew how to handle it. I've seen it from childhood. Secondly, I very first time after my graduation, within the first few months, I came across that time Bhutto family of South Africa. And because I explained to you, I met a South African guy in the first year in the university. We had a very close contact with South Africans. It built up into South African, and then to when I was doing the masters in Manchester University, in UMIST, used to be called, my special business teacher was Tiny Roland, which is part of the Harrods, owners of the Harrods, as you know. And Tiny Roland brought me into a lot of huge connections and teaching of what do you call it, the structure of the British Empire outside. And at the time when I was in touch with the, what do you call, Bhutto's family, in those days was no talk about the end of apartheid. I came across the, what we call, British royal family in the introduction in the group. Being a nuclear physicist, everybody was so proud they have a friend, they know somebody. I opened up into House of Lords, a number of the Lords of the House of Parliament, and just trained by them. Being a young boy, they were all happy to teach a 23, 24, 25-year-old boy something about the structure, being especially a nuclear physicist. It was just a luxury to be, I was like an accessory, a ring on the, what do you call, on the finger type thing. And then in that process, I came to understand, to meet and wine and dine with, of course I don't drink wine, but with the Saudis royal family, with many princes and princesses, their advisors. And it was just all happened. And then he opened again through Tiny Roland operation into Kazakhstan. He gave me access to his office in Kazakhstan. He said, "You're a brilliant businessman, just I'll give you them. I'll open offices." I walked into Almaty office of Tiny Roland. I remember the first day they put a box in front of me and there was a gun in it. I said, "I'm not carrying a gun. It's against my ethos." I said, "You brought me here, you protect me." And that's how I got trained, by people in power. Persons exactly like Rick Crammond, Bill Crammond, part of the inner structure of the royal family. And I just got involved in politics, in diplomacy, in business, all being bought because all the politicians are businessmen more than they're politics, because it makes them more money. They go to politics to become rich. And this is a cycle. And every time, you cannot just say, "I know someone." The minute you know someone or they introduce you, they check on you if you exist, if it's what you say is true. And I had a caliber of world, what do you call it, diplomats. I lived, Yeltsin said, Keshe slept in more beds than I slept in presidential suites around Russia. That's how I got through Tiny Roland to that structure. I never stayed in ordinary hotels and that kind of thing. Always stayed with presidential suites and that kind of thing inside the presidential offices. And this is how one influential group brought another influential group and trained as a young man. It was very interesting to them, a nuclear physicist coming to a business, and it was something addition, and you learn a lot. And I wasn't a guy to be shy, to be, the more it was on the table, the more I went for. And my telephone directory has the name of world leaders, left, right, and center. I just don't need, if I tell I know such a person, they call and they check. Recently, very, very recently, past few months, past few weeks, this came across with some most powerful people around the world. I told them a coded message which is exist. I know of it because I work within that code. And a few days later, they said, "We checked, you're correct. You are who we say you are." And you carry that kind of, and we are trusted with a lot of knowledge. We are trusted with a lot of private information. We are trusted with a lot of, and these stay within our head. We die with it. I know one of the major producers of materials in the world. When the president sent the material, I had to sit as his representative in the office of his own ambassador in his embassy in Europe to confirm to the president, "Yes, the material is here. What you confirm is handed over to the government." Only being in early 30s. That's how I was trained. in the field of work. And this prepared me for when we call for the world ambassadors, when I sit and speak to the world public. It's just another bunch of people I know, and they take a reference on me. Otherwise they won't come, they won't. They know you do, they know you can, and this gives you a strength. But I don't think these opportunities are open to another person, especially nowadays. It's become much tighter and more exclusive, and many of the problems we solve with the Keshe Foundation comes from our contacts. I don't need to go and find, in cases I need. I know the people, I just pick the phone up. The people who are around me, they know there's no embassy ever refuse for me walking into. Because they know when I walk in, there is a reason, there is an opportunity, there is something needs to be discussed. And that's where the experience comes, life experience. And I was trained to be there, and now is hopefully how long will it be. There won't be another person, another opportunity like this. Because a lot has changed, the trust has changed. The people used to be there for a long time, people are not there anymore. When one of the world presidents wanted to train his son, I was only 26, 27, and he wanted to train his son, he was 19, 20. He called me and says, Mr. Keshe, do you mind to be his protege and teach him about, because you have such a good name in business and in these kind of things, that I would like my son to learn. I've trained 2, 3 sons of presidents just to be how I used to work. I was just like a godfather. I was trusted. I was a young man, but I was trusted to train them because they wanted to be that. And it comes by the work with their fathers. If you one day speak to my eldest son, he'll tell you when he was very young, 12, 13 years old, we traveled all the time. He said, Dad, I don't travel with you. Traveling with you is like going to an embassy. It's all presidents, prime ministers, ambassadors come. We don't have a holidays. You're just bringing us as a holiday, but you're still in your business. They came by training firsthand, not by reading books. Any other question?
Well, I think you kind of answered the next question that came up in YouTube from Filippo, who asked Mr. Keshe, can we have some news about satellite or mobile people? What's going on? Thanks so much. In a way, I think you answered some of that.
We are using you without you knowing, but gradually we bring you in to be done. You're not working with diplomats, you work with the rest of the people. You got to understand the new BISOs, the new system coming into operation are at the human level, and that's what I said. You volunteered, so as I just said before, you gave us access to, what do you call it, not to use, but to facilitate what we want. We cannot steal. We cannot force you. You volunteered, and knowing and unknowingly, consciously, unconsciously, we are using you, and you're already being used, some of you, for your work. Because you signed to it. So we don't need a permission. I will explain this in the coming days and weeks, how some of your satellites have already functioned that way. When you work through the soul, you don't need to inform the physicality. Any other question? With Keshe Foundation, you watch what you sign in for, because it will take both sides, and we nourish both sides. If there is no other question.
I think we're done for today. You've done very well answering everything. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll see you next week, and we'll hopefully be able to enlighten a little more. Today I had to bring this up that you understand. We still work on the development of the soul, but we still work with the governments. We're still developing technologies that we are not only in the hand of government. And I think this is what missed a lot of you as we concentrate. Even the system we make for elevation of the soul and everything else is a mechanical system. It's a system material used to it, but you don't see it that way. You just look, you come and put a headphone. There is machinery behind it, development of technology behind it. And now we have brought the other side to it too. Now that you see the two are coming, and then you see as we develop the soul, there is a system behind it. Now the physicality is there. It's two-part technology. And you see more of it. As Rick showed the 129, very soon, as we showed in London, we showed the system of the flight system, reduction and energy production. The energy through plasma is fully confirmed. We can produce it anytime, and now we go back in the commercialization of it to the next step. You don't need to burn the gas. As you produce plasma energy in the universe, you use it. Even our people have to learn how to use the plasma energy for plasma and energy for matter state. They have to still learn. They've got a long way to go to that yet. And we'll see what happens. Join us tomorrow, those of you who are in that session. And then we meet you on Sunday with some people as we start the training for them, that you can use their system. Then we meet you on the 22nd for what we call the Love of Mitra, one of the most beautiful times of the Keshe Foundation teaching. And as I said, you got to prepare yourself and understand. I accepted the term physical condition from my commitment, and I'm bypassing already the soul is there to guide you, to teach you, to train you, and to take you to the level which is far beyond what man has ever known. See you next week, and see you in the other sessions of the teaching. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Thank you very much for everything you bring to us here. And I think everyone feels the same way. And as a reminder, the next Knowledge Seekers workshop next week, which will be, what's the date? Thursday, December 7th. That will be at the 6 p.m. Central European time, not the 9 a.m. Central European time, as Mr. Keshe has laid out previously. Okay, so our next public teaching workshop will be the One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace and Justice. And that comes up on December 5th, Tuesday, December 5th. That starts at the 4 p.m. Central European time slot. Okay, I think that's it for now. Thank you again, everyone, for attending here today and being part of our broadcast. And thanks for all the great questions as well. And we'll go out with one of our usual favorite musical versions of the Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit. Okay, thanks again, everyone. Bye for now.